Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to Financial Fitness. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. In the last video, I talked about the formula for saving. Now I'll be talking about creating a budget so you can effectively use that formula. Feel free to use the free Excel sheet to help you work on your budget that can be found in the description below. So let's get started. First step, either in Excel or on paper, create a list of all the things you spend money on monthly and/or annually. Attempt to do this for at least the last 3 months, or as an alternative, start by tracking the next 3 months of your expenses if you think it's too difficult to look backwards. Also, if you think 3 months would be too much, then at least look 1 month backward or forward to lower the amount of work. To be as accurate as possible, take an annual view. Once you have it tracked, the second step is to mark the items that are monthly subscriptions or happen every month. Examples of these would be gyms, Netflix, utility bills, insurance payments, auto loans, student loans, etc. The goal by marking these is to take a closer look at expenses that keep happening monthly that you may have forgot about or may have just increased in price over time and you didn't realize. Third would be to create different categories such as eating out, groceries, utility bills, rent, subscriptions, savings, transportation, gas, Uber, public transportation. Then also list out these purchases that have happened as one-time purchases. Once everything is categorized and listed out, referring back to the second step with subscriptions, the goal is for you to be able to see what you can eliminate or at least be trimmed or substituted. An example of this would be for monthly subscriptions such as cable bill, Netflix, and Hulu. Would it really be necessary to have all three of these services and expenses? Only you will know the answer to it, but I would think to cut at least one out of the three, cable probably being the most expensive typically. It's unlikely that you need that much content to watch based on the cost of all three. If you find you can't cut them out, maybe try substituting for a slightly cheaper option like YouTube TV in place of cable, for instance. Monthly subscriptions is a category where I'd expect most people to rediscover how much you actually spend almost without realizing it. Hopefully this one tip alone can help you create your ideal budget. There are likely other examples similar to this where you can trim an expense. An example of something that can be eliminated entirely would be something like Blue Apron, restaurants, and bars, where it can be exchanged with a slightly higher grocery store expense by cooking at home more frequently. You should also look at miscellaneous expenses or one-time purchases because these can also get lost in the crowd of expenses. These are expenses not happening every month, but they could happen every few months and could also be impulsive purchases. This could be anything from a series of shopping sprees for various casual clothes, work clothes, or other emergency expenses like fixing your car suddenly. Many of these items could fall in the nice to have category versus you need it. Spend very intentionally. Every time you spend money on something or are about to use your credit card, ask yourself if you really need or will use the item, service, or experience. Occasionally on certain expenses, I will use the sleep on it method and wait a night before purchasing. This gives me time to stop myself from potentially making an impulsive purchase and to think about if I really need to buy it or not overnight. Now, at this point, you might be thinking there must be an easier way to do this automatically, but I've found from personal experience that even when I've had my annual spend summary provided to me on my credit cards, I would say it categorizes roughly about 70% of my transactions correctly and incorrectly categorizes about the remaining 30% or so. I recommend doing this exercise manually in Excel so you can save it and reference it again later or by hand with pen and paper for you to really get a sense of how much and what you spend money on. You need to understand what you can and can't afford through this intentional exercise. Having this process automated would defeat the purpose. Once you have a plan on how to manage your expenses, it would make sense to then use something like Mint to automate it for yourself going forward to maintain your expenses and budget. Again, I'm leaving a link in the description below with a free budget template that you can use to start mapping out your monthly and annual expenses. There are 2 pie charts on separate tabs that will allow you to visually see a breakout of your expenses. along with 2 tabs that you can use to start building a 1-month or annual budget. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked this video and found it insightful. Click the like button if you did, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the notification bell so you can see when I post videos. Feel free to leave comments, questions, and any topics you might want to hear about in future videos to get on track to being financially fit. See you in the next video.